proposal. Weeks ago, because with my dear friend Thea, we hosted a meeting. We call it the brainstorm meeting. Colleagues were there. So we figured out some suggestions for our proposal that I would like to reiterate them today. For example, it has been 3 years since the initiation of the packaging. 2023 was the 10th anniversary of the packaging. So after 3 years, we are still not very clear about what we will do. But on the outside, we do have some consensus from both sides. First, FinTech 2.0 should be based on market-driven, not traditionally driven by the host government. Second, Pakistan is a strong export industry. This country's economic future relies on it. Only in doing that, you can have more foreign currency, which would be like substantially changing this country's scenario for each department of the country's economy. But how to do that? Of course, it's everything, and our government, we would like to encourage our business people to come to Pakistan, do business here. But we, as the government, we cannot make decisions for them. We cannot push them here. We can only attract them here. So, considering that, we have some concrete steps which will be following for our next step. For example, we propose that both sides should figure out some model projects, totally market-driven. For example, I'm starting a project. A lot of communist store, chain communist store. It's a Chinese 7-Eleven. So actually, we are doing this job in the last 7 weeks with help this year. Also, we are talking to some other Pakistani people. So maybe this finds a lot of retail. And some Chinese people, they are interested in agricultural machinery for manufacturing. I can give you a lot of examples. Medicine, vaccine. In the last half a year, there are many private business people came to the embassy. They told me that they want to go abroad, and Pakistan is definitely their priority, but they don't know how to move forward. I would understand that this country has huge potential. Even the population here, and especially they are very young, are also really educated. So we think that I have always encouraged them. The first step for their business in this country is to find reliable Pakistani partners. I can give you some successful stories. For example, Haier. They have a Pakistani, there is a Pakistani company named JW, right there? JW Group. And also another example is Long March Tire.
Service Long March, Karachi.
Yeah, correct. Near Karachi.
That is the challenge.
Our challenge. So they have very strong support from the Pakistani partners. So speaking of this projects like the economies for the machinery, the furniture, the vaccines, we need to find some Pakistani partners who can work with us. definitely planning industry is doing that. And I hope, I really expect more involvement from the board of investment and also from the private sectors. My dear friends, business cannot be finished in one day, like road. So I always told them, don't lose your confidence. If you talk to 10 persons, and only one or two of them would be helpful, you should be very pleased, very happy. And if we are talking about 10 projects, and one to two of them would be finally materialized, I think that's a very good outcome. Everybody like that. It's not like a B2B kind of cooperation. When both governments have determined to do that, I'm 100%, almost 100% sure it will be successful. But for real business, we need to give them some opportunity to try, and we need to accept that possibly they will fail. So among like startups, I think if only 10%, 5% of them make a successful story, and their investors will be very, very happy with that. And also, we have figured out that we need some special arrangement for moving forward for these projects, like we need some special coordinator from the outside government. He can work with the Chinese business people and the embassy all the way to their final success. This is the same case in China. Activities and Chinese health, we have a lot of like foreign investment parks, industry parks everywhere, each province. But normally they have a special agency like BOI, provincial one, or municipal BOI. And they will have a specific person who's in charge of this project until it finishes. And he will work with outside, and he helps us to figure out solutions for each and every problem. So we all know our goal. We all know that what we are going to do together. But now I propose that we talk more about how we achieve that. So that is my proposal to make it simple. Let's work together to figure out some like model projects, B2B ones, market ones. Then I can give you some coordinator from the MC, and also I need someone from the Pakistan government. He or she will work with us like this. And by doing that, we call it learning by doing. I know our Pakistani friends, you are very eager to learn from kind of our experience, especially the economic experience, how to build a strong economy, how to build strong industries. So I think this is the best way to learn with us. If you can work with us, you know how we work. And then it's become a part of your own experiences. And then you will have your own industry. I give you two examples. In 1980s, our first foreign investment company is from Thailand. It's called CP Group. And it's about it's a manufacturer of folders. And our first joint venture, and the foreign companies from Hong Kong, they were doing the food for the airlines. So you can imagine, none of them was about infrastructure, about heavy investment. And another example, I would like to remind you that I'd also like Chinese colleagues that 10 years ago, if you still remember that Amazon was very strong in China, so was eBay. But nowadays, they're all out. It was not because we have kicked them out. It was because we have learned everything we need from them. If you look at the history, I know that not all of the successful, the big Chinese companies were original. For example, Alibaba is like a Chinese version of several years ago, 10 years ago. And also JT.com, Jingdong is one of the most prominent online platform in China. It's a Chinese version of Amazon. So you can imagine, they also started with selling books. That was 10 years ago, 10 years ago. And by doing that, they are low energy. And they are strong enough to, let's say that, to let their teacher lose their jobs in China. So I think, I'm not talking about you're going to kick us out of the center. We can grow together. And but this is the way I think it has to be. I don't know that when we are talking about our strategy of reform and opening up, there's a very famous thing, and crossing the river by touching the stones. Nobody knows. We can make perfect plans, at least we think they are. We can make a lot of proposals, but nobody knows the final task would be. We have the direction we need to cross the river, but it doesn't matter 2 steps left, 3 steps right, it doesn't matter. So that is my humble request. Please work with us, especially Honorable Minister. After I'm pretty sure that after the visit of the Prime Minister of China, we need to do a lot of following up jobs. See, if I may say, I would like a proposal. We are going to have this model projects, and we are going to work together to move forward as fast as we can. As fast as we can. I hope at least in like several months, 3 months, 4 months, we can have some tangible outcomes. In that case, for example, if we can make it happen for the inauguration ceremony of our communist store project, Your Excellency, I hope you will join us for the ceremony, all of you. Only by leading by examples, leading by successful stories. And step by step, I'm pretty confident this country will become a much better place for all of us. Thank you so much.
Very interesting and very practical. I think Mr. Young, the less is more. Doesn't have to be very big, billions of dollars. I think less is more. Specific, practical, 2, 3, 4 projects, that's enough. A lot of the times we talk about a lot of big projects, but none of them end up happening. So I think for 2026, there should be a work plan. Maybe just 2 projects, like the convenience store, something, which can kick off and be model projects. Absolutely. I think it's a great idea. Yes, please.
Just for you guys, please leave the competition in China nowadays is really very fierce. So why they are here, why they are beating us,
because they want to look for new opportunities for growth.
They have money. They have technology. They have all the machinery. The only thing I'm not sure whether they have is their determination. Complicated. So to persuade them, let's build some successful stories. You know, I can see I can hear hundreds of speeches. Of course, your government has done a lot of job of advertising for your government, but the most persuading ones would be the successful stories. So people, I can tell them, look, this guy, they made a lot of money in the last several months. I think that is much more effective than our own speeches. Just for your thank you.
Really practical and positive things you mentioned. And we will try to follow the idea to give us more cities are very they Chinese have the money, they have the technology, and they are willing to invest in Pakistan. Only now we have to give them the practical proposition to invest there. Many Chinese are coming here, and you are right that their competition in China is very tense, and they can have more opportunity. The profitability in Pakistan is very good. Only there are some confidence and some assurance. Practical things. Our businessmen have to give now. The policy is okay. Now we are advertising on our businessmen to follow that and to have B2B that meeting. That's why last meeting was very successful when in Beijing last year 2025. And again, this next Prime Minister visit will have some good results, I feel. And two very good examples you have challenge and that of that service and this trial this very successful stories. The trial, you see, I am in trial businesses 50 years myself. I was importing huge quantity of trial from China of petrol brand that was in Qingdao province. And that Qingdao factory was initiated. When we gave them order, the factory was closed at that time. So they started their factory on our orders. So this is the thing we have been emphasizing on imports particularly. And our businessmen should give more interest and should give practical information to your businessmen. We are trying our best.
Maybe you have your own tariff industry.
We were planning this very good idea of a tire. You see, there was a lot of smuggling in tire in Pakistan. Now it is much removed. Because of that, this tire plant is more feasible. This Long March is the most reputed brand there. I know there was huge imports even at that time. I expect similarly because the challenge is they are having successful textile eventually. So thank you very much. I really enjoyed and had good information from you. I will like to have a personal meeting with you, so we can have more. Yes. Thank you very much. And Dr. Sheila, she is among very few politicians who have been directly elected from Punjab, only 2 or 3 ladies. Mainly, it is very difficult in Pakistan to be elected as a lady. So I really admire and appreciate her efforts. Thank you. Thank you.
I have to go to ECB meetings.
We can start the next session. Mr. Patel, you will. Okay.
You know.
8 lakhs will come.
Yes, I will give you. I'm
Smile.
Truly very impressed. The different part of the way and in my first week, I found that. But the process started 15 years ago. And today I feel that they have an indication. Two sides of your work. One is very sad that you are not very clear. Very sad. Second, it was also very interesting. That was the Chinese businessman. But the very motivation is and nothing successful. My colleagues are not be. What we have been with the Lord. Created this country. But was successfully. And second, everybody you go through. Some of them have them. I'm trying to pick them. They got your package straight. And here see all the people ups and downs. The states of even since all business competitions is working on. Still have I don't know why it is. Followed it. But the emphasize is because real estate are not things. That goes on. What is that? Everybody's
I think, maybe, each one. With that, discussion. But the problem is not about it makes sense too many. Clients, but they don't have enough clients, especially. Actually, them like project. But discussions what. Even if like, I think it's like you're very Assalamu alaikum. This is Mahmood Tufail, Director General Board of Investment. Besides this Director Generalship, I am also adding CPAC related ICPE Industrial Cooperation project at the Board of Investment as a project director for quite some time. So it's my real honor to be here and to chair this session. In fact, in the presence of very senior officers from the government sector and Madam Shizra Mansabali. It's indeed add more value to say something regarding the process. I will taking some lead from what the Honorable Minister and Minister of State just said. As Madam rightly pointed out, the regulatory predictability. This is very important, and we are at the Board of Investment have been taking and are taking so many initiatives to ensure that regulatory predictability. I will discuss in detail. And as my own Minister Kaisar Sheikh pointed out, that we need to make Pakistan manufacturing and services hub. Converting Pakistan from agrarian economy to a very competitive market-driven business to business-oriented economy. For that, I would also like to thank Mustafa Haider Sayyed for holding this very timely seminar, because there are a certain initiative in the pipeline which I am authorized to discuss here. The Prime Minister visit is scheduled from 23rd to 26th. And before that, the last one, President of Islamic Republic of Pakistan was in China. And this is unprecedented that the Prime Minister and President, they both are going to or have undertaken their visit, and the Prime Minister will just back there. And he is taking meetings on daily basis. As far as the MOUs, there is a lot of talk about the practicality and the follow-up, as Mr. Young very rightly pointed out, the follow-up mechanism. Last year, almost more than 160 MOU were signed during Prime Minister visit to China in Beijing. And we have been given a task to be a matching number of MOUs, JVs again into the forthcoming visit. And
As a follow-up mechanism, I'm delighted to share that as of today, 33% or one-third of the MOUs which were signed there at the meeting, they are in a very advanced stage. And inshallah, as you said, 1 out of 10 matters the most. And hopefully, we will be seeing a very good results, very good examples like Higher Group, Service Long March, and challenge like examples are also emerging in Pakistan in a very near future. So I am delighted that you pointed out excellency, relocation of Chinese and
Integration.
conversion to integration of a supply chain. That is a very good, I think, the word or the postures we need to integrate with China because China, Pakistan for the last 75 years has been doing an unanimity of views at all international affairs, whether it's a political, diplomatic, they have so many commonality, and we need to invite these to our both countries' shared vision and prosperity. So I initiative as my ma'am pointed out the regulatory predictability. We at the Board of Investment being an apex ease of doing business agency, ensuring the ease of doing business and regulatory compliance, facilitation of the businesses. The Prime Minister, the present government, soon after taking charge of the President set up the present government announced a cabinet committee on regulatory norms, which is working under the chairmanship of Federal Minister Kaisar Sheikh Sahab. And through this very committee, we have been, which is again unprecedented and have never been done in Pakistan. We have introduced 4 regulatory packages, and through these 4 regulatory packages, we have been able to propose and get approval of the committee of a regulatory proposal of 412 regulatory proposals have been placed before that committee, and the committee has approved these proposals. Majority of them have been implemented, and through an independent study from PIDE and Jacob Cordova Associates, American-based think tank, we are able to say that we have been able to inject $1.3 billion in saving the businesses for the investor through these regulatory reforms. We Board of Investment and Special Investment Facilitation Center, since there is a both going together, we've been after taking lead from Shandong and on the direction of Prime Minister of Pakistan, we have been able to establish Business Facilitation Center at Islamabad, providing it's not like Shandong, like a comparison between like Islamabad and Shandong, but I can very precisely say that this setup serving the investors and businesses were able to approve more than 6,000 regulatory approvals under one roof in Islamabad, and that is also sort of saving a lot of money of investors and businesses. Again, coming to, since my main mandate is regulatory reforms, we were able to place Asan Karobar Act, which is ease of doing business, a sort of legislation that both houses passed that legislation, and we are in implementation stage of this legislation. And today we had a meeting on establishing a Asan Karobar ease of doing business at technical unit with the support of World Bank. And we will definitely invite the businesses, the investors, the Chinese colleague to please visit that setup once it is fully functional. Besides that, we at the Board of Investment providing work visa and through a very open door policy with minimum objection or regulatory burden on the applicants. And the Chinese get these visas, especially the work visa, which is the mandate of Board of Investment and business visa. We are providing our recommendation within, if not in minutes, within hour, we are doing this. Again, coming back to for this ease of doing business initiative, we have assistance from World Bank, that is to create a Pakistan business portal. For that, we have launched request for proposal, which is available on the internet. And then we are also going to establish a regulatory registry, which will host all business related regulation at one place, and we will allow the investor and the businessmen to if they want to establish a Chinese restaurant in any part of the country, or want to establish a petrol pump for Chinese retail store like 7-Eleven, they can find all regulation under one roof in one electronic registry. To ensure the predictive regulatory and policy predictability, we are also compliant to the business readiness survey, which is being undertaken by the World Bank, and we are actively participating. Last week, we have a very fruitful meeting with the provincial governments and the World Bank. So, if we come back to and being a project director of Industrial Cooperation Unit of Board of Investment, we have also planned a scheduled meeting with our counterpart in China, and we are waiting. Dr. Muzammil is quite aware of this, that we are planning a meeting possibly before Prime Minister visit to China. And as you, sir, very rightly pointed out, we need some practical and concrete step and broadening of the sectors, going like reducing the dependence on infrastructure related or energy related projects. I am very pleased to say that the coming week we are going to have home appliances B2B conference in Lahore. Chinese, one of the biggest group, IBI, they are also coming to Pakistan this weekend. The visit is of 10 days, and they are visiting Karachi, Lahore, Islam. Have a high schedule of high level students. Yeah, sure. And if they we will definitely communicate to the local person, and if they do not have time, I request you people to have a meeting with them at SIFC or even at Board of Investment at your convenience.
So, again, if they do not want to come to the LLC, I will be seriously doubting their intention.
They have proposed and they are launching a digital platform, and they requested the presence of Honorable Prime Minister in that initiative. I will definitely, we will push them to visit Chinese embassy.
they are really serious about it. This country, they will not hesitate to come to the country.
We will definitely, I on behalf of the told you that we will do this. So after the Prime Minister visit, since in the morning we have a very high level which was a meeting which was chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister, and as of now, I am not bound to disclose, but we have a good number of more than 110 companies. They are going to China for a B2B meeting for IT, and the Prime Minister directed to the agriculture as well. So from IT, we have a good number as of today, 110 plus. So they are going to meet Chinese companies, which is 250. The basic conveyed us, the number is like more than 250 companies. They are coming with that conference and Chow. And after that, we also got a very good proposal from our embassy in China. They proposed a pharmaceutical B2B conference in Karachi in June. But due to these visits, we requested them to reschedule it. And the new date is 11-12 of July. It's a comprehensive, taking lead from your words, with the inclusion of vaccines. And is a sort of, it's not only restricted to APIs or pharmaceuticals, it's going to be a very broad-based conference, a 3-day conference. So this is for the couple of next month. So I, on behalf of the Board of Investment, want to directed to assure you full support to the Chinese counterpart doing business here in Pakistan and planning to do business in Pakistan. And of course, your due diligence and your support will also be required for this intervention in Pakistan. So this is all from me on the regulatory side and policy intervention in respect of Pak-China economic cooperation and industrial cooperation. I once again would like to appreciate and thank Pak-China Institute led by his worthy executive director, my brother Mustafa Haider Sayyed, taking liberty of his presence. I would also like to thank Madam Shirsha for his presence, for her presence, and Your Excellency, your team. Thank you so much. If you have any suggestion, proposal, we at the Board of Investment, at Special Investment Facilitation Council, SIFC, the doors are always open for good businesses and good investment for those. Thank you so much. So, being a chair of this session, I would like to welcome Dr. Yasin San, Senior Lecturer, Associate Professor, University of Bath. Dr. Muhammad Muzammil Zia, my dear friend from Ministry of Planning, Development and Special Initiative, is one of the best known doing many things for China-Pakistan economic cooperation. Dr. Hassan Daud Bhatt, who is online, a former CEO, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Board of Investment, is a dear friend, Shah Jahan Mirza Sahib, a former MD, AP, my senior colleague. So I would like to hand over my to Mr. Dr. Muhammad Zia. So his word on next phase of special economic zone, roadblocks and opportunities. Over to you.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank the chair for giving me this opportunity, and I also want to say my special regards to our senior colleagues here, Minister of State, Excellency Mr. Jan, the Minister Counselor, our Executive Director, China Institute, Mustafa and Shahjahan Sir. And in front of these so many senior colleagues, I think it's I will try to be very comprehend and be specific. And so we are talking here about the next phase of SEZs and what are the roadblocks. From the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor Secretariat, the Ministry of Planning experience. In the phase one, we had a very successful time. We completed the energy projects. We added 9,000 megawatt of energy in the system in such a short time. Then we have completed more than $7 billion investment we put, and we completed the road connectivity, Orange Line train, the water port operationalized. Why we get so successful in phase one? Because in the phase one, our focus was on energy, and we had the IPP policy before CPEC as well. And we had IPPs before Chinese IPPs as well. So the government of Pakistan had a very good experience to deal with these IPPs. They have already a structure. In that structure, the Chinese investment come and successfully completed. Same for the connectivity in the roads. The National Highway Authority, before coming to CPEC, already completed the M1, M2, and all many other motorways. So they have already the specimen was there, structure was there, all the rules and regulations were there. So the Chinese investment come in the roads and successfully completed. So in the phase one, we have completed 42 projects in such a short time with a total investment and of around $26 million. But then after that, we stuck with the second phase. The second phase was the industrialization, SEZ, as my worthy excellency, the Minister Council said that the integration of supply chain, why we were not able to catch that boat timely in 2018, 2019. Because we had no successful existing example of investment in industrialization in Pakistan before that. So the government of Pakistan, our departments, even our own private businessmen were not ready, were not prepared to have this kind of industrialization in the city. And unfortunately, that we missed our boat due to 2 to 3 major reasons. That in 2018, the way the CPEC was going ahead, we were very confident at that time that after that we will start this industrialization and SEZ process. But unfortunately, in 2018, we have to go for the election, and the new government came in power. And that new government once came in power, they need some time to understand what happened before and how they can proceed further. Eventually, in 2019, the COVID-19 breakout happened in China, and the China stayed locked down for the next 3 years during that time. At that time, there was only online meetings and online communication, and we were unable to bring or invite any industrialist, any business people, or any technical team from China. So that was during the lockdown period, and then unfortunately, once the lockdown finished, then we had again we had a vote of no confidence. Then we had the PDM government, and no one was certain that when this PDM government will finish, and then we had the caretaker setup, and now in 2024 back, again, we have a stable government is here, and now we are working really hard to make this second phase of CPAC practically implemented in Pakistan. During the last visit of Honorable Prime Minister to China, both governments have already signed one MOU on strategic alignment of 5 E's and 5 C's. The 5 C's are the new 5 corridors the government of China proposed where they will work on in the phase 2 of CPAC. These 5 corridors are namely Innovation Corridor, Green Corridor, Livelihood Corridor, Openness Corridor, and Growth Corridor. And these corridors are aligned very closely with our own Udan Pakistan initiative, which is the 5 E's initiative. So both governments work really hard and prepare this one document and agreed by the top leadership, and now it's already signed last year, and now both governments are working very closely with each other to practically implement these first of all, to lay out these 5 corridors and plan multiple initiatives under these corridors. As Excellency, the Minister Council mentioned that 2 weeks back, we had a very candid meeting where we had the representative from the Board of Investment, Commerce, and all the relevant departments were there. So we already agreed that the big projects of CPAC on G2G will continue their work on their level, like KKH, ML1. In Gawada, we have some priority projects in mining, but at the same time, we have to focus on the small projects as well, the small B2B projects, and we have to support them. So, as the last meeting, we had a consensus that we will build up a small list, and every time we will work together to make that list day by day grow. And the CPEC Secretariat will help the councils, the commercial section of the embassy to implement those projects anywhere in Pakistan with the support of Board of Investment, Ministry of Commerce. As in the CPEC Secretariat, we have a very dynamic team is there. We have a very clear structure there that we have one on the top, we have the project director. Under that, we have specialists in different fields. Like we have a specialist agriculturalist. Like that agriculture specialist is responsible for all G2G and B2B intervention. And he is the one who follow all G2G and B2B intervention with federal ministries as well as with the provincial ministries anywhere in Pakistan. Then we have the industrial specialist in our office. He is responsible to coordinate with BOI, with provincial chapter of BOI, with CISA, with Ministry of Industry. So he worked like a focal person for industries and small B2B investment. Same, we have the specialist for the mining, specialist for the Gawada, specialist for the socio-economic intervention. So our team will work closely with the Excellency, with the Minister Council team. And we are very hopeful that in this year, we will, at G2G level, there will be, the work will get kept on, but on the B2B level, on these small interventions, we will have some quick success in this year. In Ministry of Planning, under the leadership of Professor Vassani Bal, also known as Mr. CPAC and Mr. Corridor, he takes pains himself for each and every activity or any hurdle. Like we have very clear structure that on the working level, if any Chinese company, CPAC, non-CPAC, private, have any problem on working level, we call those meetings and try to help them. And if on the working level, if the issue is not resolved, after every 15 days, Minister for Planning chair a meeting with all the federal ministries and provincial governments. And on that operational level issues resolved, and Board of Investment witness all those meetings that after every 15 days, we have a very specific agenda to discuss with all the federal ministries, and with the support of these federal ministries, we try to help the Chinese companies to resolve all the pending issues. Then if we have the policy level issues, the Honorable Prime Minister made a cabinet committee on Chinese investment project. So all the policy level issues will go to the cabinet committee, and that cabinet committee is also chaired by Honorable Federal Minister for Planning. So we had a very systematic, design existing in the CPEC Secretariat, and we are trying our best that how we can move forward to this industrialization phase. As my worthy member already mentioned that we already have some very good examples of challenge. I just want to share a very good news that in the month of May, the chairman of Challenge Apparel is in Pakistan. He just reached Lahore, and they are going to do the groundbreaking of their Challenge SCC in this month. And by October, they are planning to complete that SCC. So that is a very good, I think, showcase story for us that one Chinese company come from Shanghai, started with a small factory, and now they are moving from that small factory towards a factory, towards an special economic zone. And I really want to admire here the leadership of the Honorable Chief Minister of Punjab, Maryam Sahiba. She personally take interest in this matter and resolve all the utility, land, all the tax matter of this SEZ. And finally, that this project is going to see the sunshine soon. So I really want to emphasize that this month is a very crucial. This month on the 21st May, we are going to celebrate the 75th diplomatic relationship between the both countries. And in the last 75 years, both countries worked really closely and achieved very big success, including the success to our one of the astronaut is going to space in October with the support of the support of Chinese government. So our cooperation is not only on the B2B, on the G2G, on the strategic level. We, as the both side leadership, agree that we have a strategic partnership in all fields of life. And we are very hopeful that this visit of the Prime Minister and recent visit of the President will bring fruits for the both countries. And I also want to share one good news that regarding the Gavadir, that recently the Gavadir is also nominated as one of the project hub corridor, and the six corridors are announced to connect with the Gulf to export the transit products to Iran. And the Gavadir port already started transiting the products from Gavadir port via Gulf to Iran. So that's also very good that since after a long time we are able to see some good activity in Gavadir port, and we are very hopeful that through this, in this crisis, the kind of role our leadership played, so we may be able to get a greater benefit from this incident, and the Gavadir port maybe become one of the regional hub in future. And for that as well, we had a very meeting with the company who is operating the port. In this month, they are inviting one of their team to visit Pakistan and to do some analysis that how after this crisis and this war, how the Gavadir port can play a crucial role. So that's the overall my speech it is, and if we focus on the SEZ, we are unable to tap the big investment or big integration in from the Chinese side. Although we have some success story in the Yama Iqbal SEZ, we have a lot of Chinese companies are already registered, and some are under construction phase and some are already in production phase. And recently, one of the Chinese company who are working in the Chashma nuclear plant, they also showed interest and to have one of their industry in Faisalabad SEZ, and they requested the academic for the 40-acre land for their industry in future. So we are very hopeful that these kind of investments and initiatives will help to bring these industries in these special economic zone. but we are unable to tap the potential benefit from the Russia SEZ, Dhabi SEZ, or the Boston SEZ in Balochistan. So I think with the support of our Chinese developers, with the support of the Minister Counselor and other relevant departments, we may able to move forward for these SEZs as well and can have more industries and more supply chain integration industries from China. Then in the last, I also want to mention that the government of Pakistan, in collaboration, like leading by the Ministry of Industries and Board of Investment, is focusing on two model SEZ, one in Karachi and one in Islamabad. And for the Islamabad SEZ, we already got very positive feedback from the Minister Council office, and we are working very closely with him as well, with his team as well. And we are very hopeful that this Islamabad model SEZ can be a model for industrial zones in Pakistan. So I hope after this Prime Minister visit, you will hear some positive news in line with the industrialization in Pakistan. Once again, thank you very much for all my senior colleagues and my other distinguished guests. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muzammil, for your insightful take on Pak-China relation, specifically related to CPEC, SEZ, and planning ministry intervention on these strengthening of these relations. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to request Dr. Hassan Daud Bhatt. As far as I know him, he used to be our provincial counterpart for regulatory reforms in KP province and also a counterpart for SEZ like Russia Special Economic Zone. He is one of the oldest brain on Pak-China intervention, and recently he is serving as a professor at, I guess, Tahrir University. So over to you, Dr. Hassan Daud Bhatt, and this topic is provincial competitiveness, SEZ, and industrial facilitation, especially with reference to AP or other provincial governments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for adjusting the schedule because I have to leave for a meeting. But I want to first of all thank Dr. Shezra, Minister of State, Minister Councillor Yang, of course, Mustafa Haider, and yourself, Tufail Bhai, and Muzammil, my younger brother, for for enlightening us on how to and which way are we moving forward in terms of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And of course, the 75th year, so we're expecting a lot of deliverables to set up. So since my presentation is on provincial competitiveness and SEZ development industrial facilitation, so I've myself imposed CPEC 2.0 as part of it. And of course, we have spoken about a lot of headwinds, but I'm a strong proponent. Of course, as a university professor, you have to be positive. I'm a strong proponent of the fact that when there are a lot of headwinds, you can always adjust your sails. You can always navigate through these difficult waters. So based on this, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that the 66 days of Middle East tension, and today is the 66th day precisely, and risk around the Strait of Hormuz are accelerating supply chain issues and also creating openings for alternative hubs like Pakistan. And Muzammil spoke about Gwadar, and I'll briefly speak in the following few slides. I also believe that, ladies and gentlemen, capital is shifting towards regional value chain, AI, data center, advanced manufacturing, agri-based industry, and all of this is part of CPEC 2.0. But we also need to understand, for all of this, the bedrock has to be the energy sector. And therefore, we have to work towards a strong, stable, profitable energy sector for the investors to come in, because you will not have data centers unless you have sustainable energy. You can't have data centers with load shedding happening. Similarly, I also believe that Pakistan's role as a diplomatic facilitator has and may improve its global image. And when I say may, of course, it has improved. I'm talking in terms of the reforms that we need to take, and Felbai highlighted some of the great reforms, and I've been part of that in terms of the provincial work. But naturally, Pakistan still faces a lot of constraints from low productivity, and I'm again saying this as a university professor. Skill gaps, high logistic cost, and unreliable energy and policy inconsistency and political risk. And these headwinds, ladies and gentlemen, are not that difficult to address. And why, if we have a whole of government approach, as Felbai also highlighted about SIFC and the Board of Investment role, all of this can be addressed in a very short period of 5 years or perhaps one political cycle. All we need is all the stakeholders to come and sit together, because I also believe that investment decisions are no longer driven by incentives alone. They are driven by policy predictability, profitability, contract enforcement, execution capacity, and ecosystem readiness. And while we are incrementally, step by step, moving towards improving our ecosystem and its readiness, we still, when we look at our competitors, because I was recently in Malaysia, I'm going to Vietnam very soon. I mean, we still are far behind to where we can create that pull factor. And also the persistent productivity challenges like low industrial efficiency, weak labor skills, high logistic cost. I think when you're competing, you have to look at these risks. My university in Peking University, a professor in Peking University used to say that it's not bad to have too many risks. It is bad not to have a risk mitigation plan. So if you have a risk mitigation plan, you can address all this, especially in the evolving geopolitical context, the provincial competitiveness, SEZ performance, industrial facilitation must be used to attract FDI. This provincial diversity is our beauty. But if the investor looks at it not as one Pakistan, but six Pakistan because of different BOIs, different policies, different tax regime, then I think we need to have that course correction, which is far so important. So, ladies and gentlemen, I also believe that investment in green infrastructure, affordable energy, skill development, we see a lot of private sector activities happening, are there for the offering. And if we can have a strong industrial policy which can be competitive and use that as competitive instrument, we can focus on export, productivity, institutional readiness in sectoral approach. Because while we discuss this with Chinese, and His Excellency is also here, my recent visit to China where we had discussion, I think Chinese interest is increasingly shifting from headline infrastructure towards bankable, commercially viable projects. And because at the end of the day, it's about profitability, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, all of us are proud and seeing what is happening in Gwadar. I think that can capture trade route and trade rotation for that, and that slogan to make, we all need to understand what transshipment exactly means, and whether the road infrastructure just outside Gwadar and beyond, is it there to be a transshipment hub that we want to be? Yes, the potential is there, but it has to have investment flow. So I'll take lead from what Kufail Saab has highlighted, is now through the reforms that we are looking at, through the image building that is happening, some geographically, some, by God's will, Pakistan is now moving to be seen as from a high risk frontier to conditional opportunity. And this conditional opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, is fantastic when it comes to investment attraction. If we can work on governance, regulation, and delivery structure. Because BOI can only do what BOI can do. SIFC can only do what SIFC can do. CPEC cell can only do what CPEC cell. So the large canvas, the large environment where the academia industry linkages, HEC, we're talking about AI all the time, everywhere. It's now become fashionable to talk of AI in all our seminars and events. But do we have the energy sector for that? And when there is an investment like Azad Patan and other investment, we tell them, wait, right now we have enough rooftop solarization. And then we have load shedding also. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to be very clear about where we're taking this country in terms of investment attraction, because that's the fundamental thing that the investor look at. And when you have because my speech today is on provincial competitiveness, and I'm guilty of being CEO of KP Board of Investment, where there were challenges, but with support of federal BOI, there was a lot of synergy that was created. Because each province, as I said, has its beauty and structural strength. While Punjab has its industrial base, and Muzammil just highlighted about some of the work which is happening in Faisalabad, Sindh has access to water and Arabian Sea, great opportunity. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, hydel potential, proximity to Central Asia, and of course Balochistan. I've kept this to do for because AJK and GB, they are inherently ideal places for tourism, which now I hope in the next phase will also become an important instrument for CPEC phase. But then there are binding constraints for all of this. Rising energy demand, urban congestion, land costs for Sindh, security, governance, land acquisition bottlenecks. For Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, again, the security perception. Because I do not say this is security issue. I say more than the issue for someone sitting outside investment, when your English newspaper highlight this and create a perception which is not suitable, it damages the great work that BOI, SIFC, and CPEC cell is doing. So therefore, we need to work on clusters. We need to work on port-led industrialization. We need to work on energy-intensive industries, and we need to work on logistic corridors and SCZs. Ink spot development, as the Chinese had done incrementally. Ink spot development, why? When you spread ink on paper, it spreads. So please, the east-west corridor debate say we have to get out of this. We have to have these as special economic zones, and then incrementally from there, like China did from Guangzhou, Shenzhen, the East Coast is now moving towards. I was in Urumqi, ladies and gentlemen, recently. I went there after 5 years, and it was amazing development. Amazing. And I mean, there's no words to actually highlight that. So just learn from Urumqi, which is next door, and invite their mayors, invite their investors, take them to GB. They've been to GB several times, but nothing happened. So therefore, we have to look at the overall existing infrastructure and the landscape we have from 18th Amendment standpoint, which was about devolution in key sectors, role of BOI as national policy alignment. That national policy alignment has to be the critical role of Board of Investment. Of course, ease of doing business should be there, one window service there. But if there is no national policy alignment, especially in terms of investment, then these issues will remain, and of course create that sectoral prioritization. And why should I say this sectoral prioritization, ladies and gentlemen? Because if you work, I'm just finishing in 1 minute. Unless you create that security prioritization, you have to focus on high competitive advantage sector. One size fit all will not work. Find 3, and as Muzammil said, 2 SEZs, build on that, and then move forward from there. So lastly, 2 points that I want to highlight are SEZs delivering industrial competitiveness, because in order to attract the phoenix, you have to build the nest first, and SEZs will be our next. Are these SEZs special for us? I am not sure. So lastly, I would just like to highlight few points and end on this. A post-conflict environment is increasing Pakistan's strategic visibility vis-a-vis investment. China-Pakistan economic corridor can again get momentum, and the great work that is happening in planning. Unless we diversify route, secure supply chain, and make Pakistan relevant to regional trade architecture. Gwadar Port gains renewed strategic importance as an alternative, but its success depends on actual throughput, not just geography. Throughput will make it important. Business and profitability will make it important, not just geography. And then Pakistan must compete on execution, investment flow, energy sufficient manufacturing, agriculture products, and make a whole canvas around it. We must move beyond rhetoric and ceremonial announcement, ladies and gentlemen, and towards execution, productivity, and measurable outcome. हर साल के डिलीवरेबल सेट करें. Unless you set deliverable for 75-year celebration, then it will just be few celebrations and rhetorical event, and then perhaps we will be speaking about higher than mountain and deeper than ocean. It has to take that next step, because realizing this opportunity depends on strengthening provincial competitiveness and facilitating the momentum and, of course, the acknowledgement. It will also come under scrutiny, ladies and gentlemen. And that scrutiny, Board of Investment, SIFC, and of course, CPEC cell has, and each one of us has to do. And next roadshow should be better than the previous roadshow that happened in China. I hope Board of Investment and SIFC will tell us how much actual contract and projects have been executed from previous roadshow before we move to the roadshow. Otherwise, we have all seen so many roadshows happening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan Daud Bhatt, for your insights on federal provincial SEZ competitiveness. Your points are well taken. We will try our best to ensure whatever we can do at Board of Investment, SIFC. Now, for this session, I would like to invite Shah Jahan. Mr. Saab is a IPP guru, energy guru, for this insights on energy specific CPEC intervention between China and Pakistan. Sir,
thank you very much, Professor. Madam Shizra and Mr. I think it is always a pleasure and honor to speak and talk on such forums where we actually talk about the Pakistan-China industrialization. I think most of you are aware of my background. I have been involved in the CPEC since 2013. So I was MD of Power Management Infrastructure Board under the Ministry of Water and Power. This is the institution which brought in all the investment in the power projects of Pakistan to the CPEC. So we did about 12,000, 13,000 megawatt at about $40 billion, $41 billion of investments in the power sector. And this is the major chunk of the investment so far, which has come to the CPEC forum in Pakistan. But again, as we have been listening, and we all know that the first phase of CPEC was G2G. So we provided long-term power purchase agreement, we provided long-term contract, government guarantees, and all those assurances which were available to other IPPs also. So actually, we did not given any special concession to the Chinese investors, but we actually brought in these investments to China. At that time, if you may remember, in Pakistan, in Islamabad, the situation of load shedding and power shortages was that there was 1 hour on and 1 hour off. So in Islamabad, we were experiencing 12 hours of blackout and load shedding. And in the smaller cities, I think it was only 2 to 3 hours supply of the electricity. So with that, I appreciate that the Chinese government and Chinese investors really work hard with us. And we have been able to alleviate this load shedding from Pakistan. And so much so that now we have a perception. I don't agree with that. So that's why I'm saying we have a perception that we have overcapacity in Pakistan. So why we are having this overcapacity, I think, perceived overcapacity. there are a couple of factors in that. So before coming to the topic, just building for the 2 minutes, I'm just building the background. So the couple of factors were that in 2017, our first power plant under the CPEC came into production, and we saw the 2019 onward, we saw the COVID and the global economic slowdown. And Pakistan, the GDP growth went down, so I think it was down around 1% or less than 1%. So when we were planning this whole new power plant and planning for these, we were looking at a few things as the fundamentals. The first fundamental, we were looking at that Pakistan GDP growth would be 4 to 5%. Second fundamental, we were looking at that Pakistan and China were planning 7 special economic zones, which will be functional. So there will be, I don't use the word relocation of the industry, but integration and installation of the Chinese industry, Pakistan, and of course the Pakistan industry. So, but unfortunately, none of them has matured. We're seeing moving free of the SEZ, and obviously they are also not at a full scale. So I think these are the 2 factors, and the third, I think that is the what we call the technological disruption. We saw the prices of solar equipment and solar panels going so down, and our they become much cheaper than the grid supply. So I think these are the 3 factors which actually give us impression that we are surplus in power. But if we go to look at the history of the Pakistan, whenever we get into the growth phase, which inshallah I think we'll be getting very soon with the international environment and the things we are seeing. So we always run into the shortage. Currently, we're looking at, I always say that probably we take in planning, we take a market view, because power plants is not something off the shelf. Any simple power plant will take about 4 to 5 years in development. Hydropower plant takes 7, 8, 10 years, so that's the type of the time which these plants require. So what government is now trying to do, they're trying to bring in the electric vehicles. I think that's one area where there will be a lot of demand to be created. And if we could be successful in setting up some data centers in Pakistan, so I think in the next 4 or 5 years, we might be talking that we need to set up new power station in Pakistan. So I think that's the type of perspective which I want to give. And the topic which has been given to me, I think this is probably a very difficult topic in terms of when we talk about the cost competitiveness and industrial takeoff, facing one of the highest tariff for the electricity in Pakistan. And the reason being, I think, is the international environment. We have seen the Ukraine war, we have seen the COVID, and we have seen that the coal prices, when we were developing these coal power plants, everybody was thinking that this is a dirty fuel and it is going to be dirt cheap in the future. So this is probably the fuel which we should opt for, because at that time Pakistan has 0 coal power generation. So this was a cheap fuel, this was expected to be cheap fuel, and this was Pakistan learning on the coal development. But again, we saw in the Ukraine war, the coal which was $60-70, that went up to $400+ per ton. So I think these are the international events or international environment which has put a lot of pressure on the power Pakistan energy sector and including the power sector. But now the challenge we are facing is in terms of competitiveness of the electricity with the world, because obviously the electricity is one of the key ingredients if we talk about our export industry, which is mainly the textile, cement. So they are heavy in the electricity consumption. So the first factor I think is that we are not able to use these power plants to the capacity for which these have been set up. So when we pay the capacity payment and we don't use these power plants, the per unit cost goes very high, and that is what we are facing. Similarly, I think when we call about the industry takeoff, we need the reliable power, we need the affordable power, we need the competitive power, and we need the sustainable power. So these 4 areas we need to work upon very seriously. But again, it's not easy because we are into long-term contract in the IPPs, even with the Chinese companies. And these are contracts which are governed by the international arbitration and international law. So we have to be very, very careful that when we talk about renegotiation, we have done a round of renegotiation, which in my opinion has created some bad taste with the investors and the international community. So we need to be very careful that what we want to do when we talk about the prices of the electricity and industry data. But again, if you have been following the steps which have been taken by the government in the last year or so, we have seen the price drop of electricity about 10-11 rupees per unit. And at the same time, government has done one thing which is not a very popular thing, and that is the revision of the procurement regulation for the solar, which are set up small solar power. So this is not a popular step, but I think this was very much needed because what we were doing that in 2015, this policy was started, and at that time, solar equipment and solar panel prices are 3 to 4 times what it is now. But again, I think we are slow in moving in the government, so we did not take any corrective step, and we did this after 10 years. If we look at around the globe, the champions in the renewable energy, if we look at Australia, we look at Germany, we look at California and the US, they have revised their policies for this procurement regulation for solar 3 times. But we did not do that. So I think now why there is so different cry, because we have done 3 steps in one jump. So that is the reason people are feeling that. But again, the problem with the current regulation is that when we buy this power at 25, 26 rupees, and this whole cost is going to those consumers which have not set up the solar panel. They have not set up the solar system. So that means we are penalizing those consumers which are very poor, already subsidized, and we are loading them further with this thing. So I think these are some of the things which we need to do actually to make the electricity more compatible. But again, one point, if I come up that what is the one point that would make the electricity cheap in Pakistan and affordable, that is the demand creation. So we need to work on the demand side because we have created the supply side is very strong now. We have created a lot of capacity, but we need to create the demand side, manage the demand side. Our load in summer and winter is so much different. Our summer and peak is like 30,000 megawatt. Our winter peak is 13,000 megawatt. So we need to look into how actually we increase the use of electricity in the winter so that we can reduce the tariff. These are some of the steps, and I think government is already cognizant of that, and they are working on all these things. But again, there is no magic solution to this problem. Because as I said earlier, we are in a long-term contract. The contract said whatever we do, we have to be very careful, and we have to take the investors on board. So they are not basically the one-off type transactions that they deliver that would go. So they are our partners for 25, 30 years. So whatever we need to do, we have to take them better, and we need to work on the together. In terms of energy security, if some of you might have seen the next 10-year generation pension plan, which is still in the draft form, but that generation pension plan, I would say that it has 2 very, very important characteristics or important features. One is that by 2035, we are looking at that Pakistan physical energy generation will be 62%, which is currently only 34%. So you're almost talking about doubling the renewable energy to district. And second thing that currently we are relying on the imported fuel for the electricity generation between 55 to 60%. So, but again, if this generation pension plan for next 10 years mature, so we're talking about 90% generation through indigenous resources, which include wind, solar, gas, which include the hydro, and which include, of course, some of the nuclear power plants are considered. So these are the steps which these are the planning which is being done for the purposes of the United States and making the power industry more compatible. And the next phase in Pakistan, which is coming, I think that is the battery export. The grid prices and the reducing price of the battery storage. So probably in the next few years, we're going to see same type of battery revolutions we have seen in the solar system or solar power revolution. But again, we still need, I think, at the government level and at the private sector, we need to take coordinated efforts and approach that how we can make this planning and these targets realistic so that we can deliver on that. As I said earlier, while we're planning the CPAC, we're looking at 4-5% GDP growth, we're looking at 7 SECs, we're looking at integration and relocation of Chinese industry, but most of them unfortunately have not matured. So what I believe, I think in Pakistan, the policies is not an issue. We generally have very good policies. We have good law, we have good regulation, but our weakest area is the implementation. So when it comes to the implementation, we are very slow and we are unable to. So I think we need to work on that. And in this B2B second phase, CPAC 2, I think we need to make more coordinated effort. Because the coordination and cooperation between the two government was relatively much easier compared to the B2B coordination. And we have asked the Minister Counselor from Chinese Embassy, we have heard the Federal Minister as well. So we need to work together and do very much coordinated effort from the both sides. Because we basically plan and then we are unable to deliver because we plan very ambitious. So I stop here. I think we can cover later on the effort. Thank you very much.
So, thank you. Thank you very much for your insightful talk on energy utilization, energy security, cost competitiveness, and industrial takeoff. I personally like the proposal to create a demand and reduce the usage disparity in winter and summer in respect of energy usage. And secondly, the regulation on battery energy storage. This is very important. And then I would like to inform you that there is a proposal to initiate a B2B conference on battery energy storage system, and that is going to be held very soon, either in Lahore or Karachi. So thank you very much for all your point for this topic. Now I would like to hand over to Mr. Mustafa for the next session.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for very ably chairing the session. Raja Mirza Saab and everyone. Very interesting session. And Hassan Dawud Bhatt Saab's remarks were very animated and very passionate. Has shaken the core of the Islamabad establishment. I think now I would like to invite Dr. Khalid Wadeed Saab, the Senior Research Fellow at the SDPI, who is a close partner. And often, if you cannot meet Dr. Khalid, then you can switch on the TV and you will see him on television. Over to you, Dr. Thank you so much. Because very right, we are very closely working on things that lines. I'll start the introduction with the phrase that Dr. Khizra mentioned, that CPAC is transforming itself from infrastructure or communication-led growth to a productivity-based, productivity-led growth. My topic that was assigned was economics of climate smart interventions. So in economics, we have
hardware of growth and we have a software of growth. Hardware of growth, all the infrastructure, capital, physical capital based things that are actually very powerful. And the software is all the governance mechanisms, institutional mechanisms that are needed to use that capital, use that hardware for productivity. So in that second phase, CPEC 1 to CPEC 2.0, I think software of growth would be really important. And when it comes to software of growth, I think we need to link on the structural development, as rightly pointed out by Shailan Vidasa and Raman, that in phase 1 we have built road infrastructures, energy infrastructure, and now how we can use that for our leverage and how we can align that software of growth in the second phase. So in terms of economics of climate smart interventions, climate smart growth could be in 3 particular pillars. First is financial architecture. Second is your environmental architecture. And lastly, how we can use finance and environmental interventions for our energy sector. And that can be linked to our economy as well. So let me start with, I hope Mr. Hamza has been trying, because recently Ministry of Finance has launched with CBL the Climate Prosperity Plan. And Climate Prosperity Plan, one of the goals of that plan is to convert 20% of special economic zones to green economic zones. And that is again software of growth, which means you will be inviting, integrating green industries to special economic zones. There is an emerging initiative of MBridge. MBridge is use of blockchain technology steered by China, linking central banks of China, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Thailand, and Hong Kong to build an ecosystem, financial ecosystem that is based on blockchain technology and uses virtual economy, virtual layers to sort of ensure the flows of investment. It is sort of led by BIS Innovation Hub and Central Banks. Pakistan can make use of it, particularly in this scenario of US-Iran war, where economies, they are looking ahead of petro-dollar-based economies to alternate financial mechanism. That could be one great thing to have. Third thing that is very important, and that was mentioned by President Xi in his address after China launched its NDCs 3.0, National Development Contribution, and it was the use of Article 6.1 Climate Paris Agreement. And Article 6.2 explicitly mentions that countries can join hands together and use carbon credits as a mechanism to fulfill their NDC targets. Recently, we have seen that Madam Shazra's leadership, Norway has signed an agreement with Pakistan using that Article 6.2 Climate Paris Agreement. Pakistan can join hands with China under CPEC. We know that China has the largest emission trading scheme in the world. We can use that mechanism. Fourth thing that is Ministry of Finance is pushing is panda bonds. Pakistan is exploring to diversify its financial markets. If we successfully diversify our financial market, that would be a great win in terms of economics plus climate smart economics, because green panda bonds would generate revenues, and we can use that revenue, that money is for our debt settlement and convert that debt-based financing to climate smart financing as well. That would be a good thing. And then repurposing and early retirement of power plants, that would be, I would say, a win-win situation for Chinese companies and Pakistan's economy as well. Pakistan-China Institute has published a great report on how to use this repurposing thing and early retirement for coal power plants as a win-win case for Pakistan and China. Repurposing means that if one power plant is underutilized, having some financial difficulties, or having imported fossil fuel consumption, we can repurpose using climate finance, using coal green credit initiative, carbon markets, that could be done as well. So if we are linking CPEC 1 and transforming it to CPEC 2.0, I think we need to go towards software of green growth as well. And that would be these all nitty-gritties in terms of institutional arrangement, in terms of financial architecture. I think Anita Sheikh Saab is here. He'll be highlighting more on blended finance and how to track that thing as well. So my take again would be we need to have an inclusive framework. And when I say inclusive, it also assumes communities in it, but most importantly, how to integrate different ministries, particularly Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Climate Change, Ministry of Industrial Production, as well as Board of Investments, so that we have this green growth and climate smart growth going on. As we need to invest more on community-centric B2B arrangements, that is Pakistan's rooftop solar, plus how to link it with batteryization in Pakistan as well. If 2024-25 was 2024-25 was solar panel year, solar year, the 2026-27 would be battery years for Pakistan. We need to take that into account as well. With this, I hand it over back to you. Thank you so much.
That's a very pertinent point about NDC 3.0 in China. President Xi's statement. That's very relevant. And Dr. Shazra has indeed ministry and have done a lot with NDC 3.0 here, particularly also the reference to phase down of fossil fuel. I think that's one of the kind achievement we haven't seen in the past. I would now like to invite my dear friend Hamza Haroon, who's the country director of the Vulnerable 20 in Pakistan, and he will be speaking virtually.
Thank you so much, Mustafa, and a pleasure to be here. Excellencies, my dear friend, Mr. Mustafa Haider Syed, Executive Director of Pak China Institute, distinguished policymakers, leaders from Chinese and Pakistani enterprises, representatives of our business chambers, financial institutions, and our academic community. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you to the Pak China Institute for convening this very important dialogue. I'm so sorry I could not join in person. I'm in Samarkand, Uzbekistan at the ADB annual meetings. As we mark 75 years of Pakistan-China diplomatic relations, the framing chosen for today, moving from connectivity towards industrial transformation, production and industrial partnerships, reflects exactly where the Global South must now focus on. And what better way to do it than with the leader of the Global South, which is China. Allow me to briefly introduce the organization I represent. The Climate Vulnerable Forum and the V20 group of finance ministers represents 74 countries and over 1.7 billion people who are on the front lines of climate risks. The V20's purpose is to convert vulnerability into prosperity through our prosperity agenda, our singular focus on investments and country-led implementations. A few weeks ago, at the V20 finance ministers in Washington, we highlighted a simple reality that climate risks are no longer isolated. They are compounding economic instability, fiscal pressures, and restricting green industrial expansion across our economies, including Pakistan. The V20 members identified 4 structural gaps constraining investments in our economies. Some of them were touched by Dr. Khalid as well. But the first one they discussed was scale. According to our analysis, the V20 countries collectively need $490 billion per year by 2030. Currently, we're touching barely 90 billion. So 5 times more is needed. The second is cost. V20 faces 1.2% higher cost of debt than advanced economies. Let me put the math behind this. That basically means that every year, 62 billion on excess interest is being paid by our countries. Also, there's a systemic mispricing of risk, which basically is almost around 600 basis points. The third is coordination, with multilateral banks, climate funds, and private investors still operating in silos. And the fourth is fiscal space. Let me give you an example. 4 V20 member countries are in debt distress. 17 are at higher risk. Let me give you another example. We did a report with EMBA, which was recently co-published, and it talks about electrotech. We found out that our fossil fuel import bill was reaching $155 billion every year. That is fiscal space leaving our economies every year. The report also showcased the stronger partnerships between V20 countries and China that has led to 46% of our V20 nations, measured by electricity demand, having leapfrogged the United States when it comes to solar penetration. And about 51% have surpassed it in economy-wide electrification. This shift is all because of China. Let me now share how V20 is planning to turn these constraints into opportunities, and that is through the Climate Prosperity Plans. A CPP is a country-owned, fully costed, multi-phase investment strategy that converges development, climate, and nature into a bankable agenda. Pakistan recently launched its CPP, and it is an important addition into the pipeline of plans we have. Green industrialization and green economic zones are a critical part of this approved Pakistan CPP. We are actively inviting Chinese policy finance institutions, export credit agencies, and development partners to engage with us on that. China's leadership on industrial cooperation, on access, on financing terms is a structural requirement of the transition we're trying to deliver. The practical message from my side to the stakeholders is threefold, and then I'll wrap up. To Chinese manufacturers and industrial partners, V20 economies, including Pakistan, represent a real frontier for joint ventures across solar manufacturing, battery storage, EV assembly, industrial electrification, and resilient infrastructure. To Chinese finance institutions, the V20 prosperity architecture provides an organized and credible pipeline across all our economies, including Pakistan, where longer tenors and blended finance can unlock large-scale investment, especially required for industrialization. And to our multilateral partners, their catalytic role, whether through co-financing or first loss capital, is what allows these transactions to scale across the V20 rather than remain country-specific. Just to go a little bit off script, I'm at the ADB meetings, and the sole thing that they keep on talking about is regional cooperation and connectivity to achieve the targets that we've set out. If we get these three rights, V20 China cooperation and Pakistan China cooperation, anchored in climate prosperity plans and aligned with long-term industrial transition goals, can become a working model for climate-smart economic transformation across the global south. Once again, a big thank you to you all, and a special thank you to my dear friend Mustafa, who also keeps on showing up on TV whenever I turn it on, who continues to lead and work tirelessly for stronger, sustainable, and mutually beneficial Pakistan-China friendship. Pakistan-China friendship Zindabad. Thank you so much all.
Thank you, Mustafa, for your insightful remarks. I will now request Ali Tawqir, Sheikh Sir, International Development Finance Expert, for his remarks.
Thank you, sir. Delighted and honored to be here. And Mustafa, thank you for inviting me. And I'm Chazre, Dr. Chazre. Privileged to be sitting with you, and thank you for staying back. The topic given to me is financing Pakistan's industrial transition through blended finance and climate finance. I've learned a lot this morning, or since this morning, early afternoon. Let me first identify 4 barriers that only government of Pakistan can remove. They are barriers to blended finance. In CPEC 2.0, we have identified such areas as chemicals, engineering goods, agro processing, light manufacturing, but not clean energy. Even if we know that right now the biggest growing sector in Pakistan is clean. They're doing tremendously good on stock exchange and in terms of investment, attracting investments, including JVs, and I'll speak about that. I'm surprised why it is missing from the Industrial Cooperation Action Plan. In addition to this ambition, this is a very large ambition, but then there are also bankable products. That's a barrier that the world of Pakistan will have to cross. Second is that government of Pakistan has elbowed out commercial lending by commercial banks by getting the securities from the banks. Banks have no interest to lend to private sector. They lend at a very high rate to government entities in securities. And that is not very good for lending finance and capital investment. Then Pakistan's debt ratio is very high. It's almost 50% of our total national budget. That's something wrong. And that is a disincentive for anyone to come and invest in this country. And that ratio has to be improved. A trend has to be demonstrated to attract additional investors. Finally, in this regard, the fifth thing, that Chinese share of direct investment is 33%, the total direct investment. Now, Pakistan can claim a victory in this, but this is also very dangerous because that will make Chinese and other investors may feel vulnerable. So in order to have level playing field and in order to attract other financial investments that may be available, now that will be outright from Middle Eastern countries and elsewhere, we need to quickly reflect it. This brings me a little bit towards what is blended finance. I suppose all of us know, but if the market is so constrained and such macroeconomic factors, and if it's not very attractive market for investment, then the challenge for government of Pakistan is how to reduce risks for investors. And that risk sharing component is blending. Let's say if you have to invest 100 units or $100, you feel not very secure. I invest 10 or 20 of that or whatever to attract you to invest. That blending is absolutely important. That is called risk sharing or de-risking. Now, because climate finance bonds feel very secure, blended finance is a growing field in the world. Last year, there were 1,200 such projects signed with 213 billion. And I want to give you one or two examples now. CPEC also, they were oftentimes around. Now, first risk guarantee or risk sharing done through concessional financing can best be done by the government or state institutions. This may include Export-Import Bank of China, or this may include China Development Bank. It may include State Bank of Pakistan. It may include commercial banks like Kabir Bank of Pakistan or Bank of Punjab or others. And most importantly, and this is my personal view, please allow me to say that, most importantly, government of Pakistan. I've been arguing about this, that PSDB, Public Sector Development Program of government of Pakistan needs to be restructured. It needs to phase out from present government of Pakistan investments to leveraging by government of Pakistan. So the present allocation of about $1 trillion or something, I don't know the exact amount, should be used only to leverage. And therefore, this is an instrument of de-risking of blending finance. Now, this brings me to my core point. I want to mention that core point first, and then I'll come to one or other examples that you put. Oftentimes, the literature that I've seen in Pakistan, blended finance is mentioned as an instrument that you have a particular project, like Kerala hydropower project, and you say in that project, X amount of financing is coming to DDISC or some other project. I want to submit the Pakistan names for CPEC 2.0 and even otherwise, beyond, is using blended finance as a strategy, not as an instrument. When I say that PSCP need to be used to leverage, that is a strategy that I'm talking, and not specific projects. Another part of that strategy would be, and I'll explain that further in 1 or 2 minutes that I want to take more. All SEZs should be transformed into GEZs. If we convert them into GEZs, and if the investments are coming from Pakistan's climate commitments in 3.0 NDC, then we'll also be able to access UNFCCC financial mechanisms, such as GCF and others. So if you strategize risk management in financing, instead of using it as an instrument, if it is a strategy, then we need to do a few things. And the 2 things that I've mentioned, one is public sector investment, taking as a leveraging tool, and then GEC using as an investment tool, and all the project in the sectors that are there can be brought in that category. I want to go a step further, give you 1 or 2 examples. Who can help in this pursuit from the international money? I mentioned Chinese banks and Pakistani financial institutions. There are some institutions that are designed to do exactly this. One is MIGA, World Bank's arm. We have not even accessed them. We don't even have bankable product with them. And this is very sad that MDBs, the World Bank alone, has a portfolio of about $2 billion annually, and we don't have even one bankable product that will go to MIGA. That's not a very healthy state. And therefore, when the Chinese representative was talking about it, His Excellency, give him a medal for his forthright, honest, and direct conversations, that the biggest gap, he said, is don't know what we're talking about. And since this morning I've been looking at, it's a dialogue with Sayyid. It's a dialogue of the deaf. They're talking something else, and we are talking about something. Every Pakistani tells what needs to be done and what the Chinese can do, and nobody is telling us how it can be done. They know what needs to be done. We know what needs to be done. Chinese come to us to listen to us, what is our plan, how we want to do it. And I just submitted that if we wish to negotiate with MDBs, we negotiate several products, and then I know MIGA is one vendor. In fact, IFC is also a vendor. I'm managing a window where we're looking at, with the help of blended finance, $420 to $750 million leveraging of IFC's portfolio. Part of the team that is exercising ADB has a window, but IFC particularly I want to mention because IFC is also part of your already mentioned Carrot hydropower as well. ADB has, of course, blended finance facilities available to us. But if we convert economic zones into green economic zones, our ability to access GCF increases tremendously. They have special windows available, financing windows available for GCF grants and concession loans for these processes. And we have not submitted one proposal to them. Not one. In fact, we have not even proposal to Turkey Partner, we have not submitted even a project concept note. And how many people have worked in planning commission? the largest employer of government of Pakistan. If I'm not mistaken. You know, it's a think tank for us. And these are the priorities, not to put anybody on the spot, but the stakes are so high of this country, and therefore that's where the gaps are. In fact, I was on the board of SIF, private investment funds, managed by multilateral development banks. And their portfolio in excess of $9 billion. I was on their PPCR board, pilot program for climate resilience. 5 years. Pakistan has not even tried to access their financing. And a great instrument for blended finance. One doesn't have to go to them. I mean, they have many things of interest to us, but right now the biggest interest of Pakistan is in the domain. So SIFs, climate investment fall in this category. So you have already mentioned ADB. I want to mention IFCs and CPP. It's not just that. There are some bilateral development partners of Pakistan who are also showing systematic interest in this. I particularly wish to mention FCDO, the Commonwealth government, the British government, who have invested with IFC a project of 109 or 110 million pounds to enhance the blended finance capacity. Now, I want to conclude. I don't want to take a lot of your time, but just 2 more points that I wanted to make. It can be catalytical, it can be co-designed. If we co-design from government of Pakistan, then this can be catalytical projects in the areas that we have already selected. Private investment is waiting in Pakistan for the opportunity. Ma'am, I want to conclude on 2 things. And I stand corrected in the officers from government of Pakistan. I've studied rules of business. Under rules of business, there's not a single government of Pakistan entity that is charged to deal with private sector and attract its investment. The mandate under rules of business. I know SIFC exists, but it doesn't exist. I know board of investment is there to deal with it. But I also know that it is not chaired by the Prime Minister for the past 7 years. It's not part of the. I know Ministry of Finance is not. I know EAD is not. I know the Planning Commission is not. And it is also and PPIB, of course. PPIB, I admire. It's a board, and that way. 3P also exists for that matter. The question is, well-established institutional government under rules of business who can do it, who can spearhead it, and also in the areas that have been deported. I want to thank you, ma'am, with these words for giving me the opportunity, and thank you particularly for staying back. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Maybe like a country like Pakistan, de-risking is a great tool. And I'm sure that most of the terms that we use for blended finance, I think 95% of the government is going to those terms. And to submit proposals to the GCF and multilateral institutions, you need specific expertise, and they need the capacity building for that, for the specific ministries. So thank you once again for your very insightful remarks. And next,
I'm sorry, phase 1 of CPEC was G2G.
Yes.
Now I've learned this morning, I did not know, and my apologies for this. Now it is with the private sector. But the conversation has not defined an ecosystem that how we would work in the private sector. If it is to bring the private sector in this on the steering seat, then the ecosystem has to be such. And therefore, the capacity building for the government is not required. Capacity building of the government is required only to provide a seat and empower the private sector to come and sit and engage with us. That's the difference. It's a different ecosystem that we need to work on.
Now I would like to invite Mr. Disham Malik Sir for his remarks.
Thanks, okay, thank you very much, thank you. Thank you everyone for staying back. I was thinking before my turn come that there are benefits to be the last and there are some certain disadvantages to be the last as well. Benefit obviously that you don't have to call anybody else after yourself, and disadvantage that people are already not in the listening mode. So I try to keep it as quick as possible. Well, I'm a banker, 22 years in this industry, and from last 14 years dealing with Chinese, being the head of China coverage in HBL. Done a lot of things, not here to tell the story, but we have a branch in China and honestly trying to help as many Chinese as possible, especially in CPEC phase 1 and CPEC phase 2. Phase 1, as everybody said, it's about infrastructure. So we are very fortunate and that around 90% of the proceeds has been routed through HBL because fortunately we were there. So that first mover advantage actually helped us in that arena. CPEC phase 2, before I go what we can do and what people are, some people are relevant, some are not, but just for the generic understanding, in the last few years, the challenges that we have seen that are actually bothering people, other than the climate, other than other things, because there is a difference in banking system in China and a difference in Pakistani banking system. For example, there is no collateral requirement in China when they go for financing for most of the countries, whereas in Pakistan, there is a requirement of security, mortgage, and collateral. That initially some Chinese went up, they failed to understand. So that is why we, from 2013, we engaged and onboarded Chinese staff members. Most of them are trained from China. I have one sitting here with me who is with us from the last 6 years, and there are multiple others. Right now, we are having more than 10 in Pakistan and few in Central Asia and around 60 in China. So we actually use them to educate Chinese people to understand what is the difference. Like in China, they don't have checkbooks. Here we have checkbooks. So these are the basic differences. Other than the challenge that I have to talk about financial climate and other things, our borrowing cost is higher and we know it. Their borrowing cost is lower and they also recognize it. So that is why they are not interested to borrow. Because when they see that in my country I can borrow at 2%, here I have to borrow at 20%, why should I borrow? I should rather bring in my own money. So we also want that. BOI want that, government want that, they should bring in their money. Then the question comes, if they bring in, can they take it back? Now here the showstopper comes, that if they bring in money, legally, some other way, and if there is a profit repatriation, once they earn money, is there any flawless, seamless system available? Here, we are partnered with BOI, we are partnered with ministries, we are partnered with everyone, and we always try to tell them, yeah, ek kaam kar do, that is a one-stop solution. A person can go and get everything. It has FBR, it has SCCP, it has custom, it has authorities, everyone sitting there. We have 3 working SCCs, Faisalabad mein, one is Allama Iqbal, the other is M3, and another Sundar, Gavadir, Rashakai. I know that it's not working and operating. So why don't we have that civic center available? I have been to Faisalabad. I go there every week because there are a lot of clients there. I meet them. But there is a name office there where, for example, if they go, now another challenge, I can get a plot on installment, but I cannot use it as a security. Because till the time I am paying my installment, my lease, I cannot use it. So if I cannot use it, and I have paid 4 or 5 installments of it, what's the fund that I can get? I have to bring my own money from China. So the one school of thought says, if the business didn't work out, they may leave. If they leave, then they have already paid 50% of the plot. And if they stay here, then obviously they are doing something good for the country. So, this is some debate that we keep on going. Second thing, these are prohibited by the multilateral for the rightful cause because we borrow money from them. But at the same time, the industries that are doing people elevation, that are doing skill development, that are substitution, giving substitution to the imports, that are doing good for the climate, for batteries, for solar, and other. So if they are reducing your burden on the foreign exchequer, then they deserve to have some subsidies, or at least they deserve to have seat on the table where the people are making some decisions. So I think this is something that I want to say. Now, what we are doing to help Chinese, because we are the only bank having a branch in China. So what we are saying, you come to our branch in China and we give you SPLC, standby letter of credit. That SPLC comes to Pakistan in a financial arrangement. You can give us any counter guarantee from China and we can give you guarantees in Pakistan. So these are some things that we have done. And now, because the CPEC 2 and then 2.0, it has been more than 7 years, so most of the companies, they already have owned the plot. So we are starting giving them, in our terms, we can say watertight transactions, for example, for exports and imports. They can do discounting in Pakistan as well as in China. And mostly they deal with their own parents in China. For example, the parent is sending equipment, they are getting it. So this mechanism and equation is working good for them. So for financial climate, I think as we are going to B2B arena, so in B2B arena, sir, we need your support, obviously, and laying down the foundation where obviously they can find doing business easy in Pakistan. And this collaboration will only happen when they see that they know the person they go up to for all their problems. Muzammil was sitting here, unfortunately he's not right now, but he's a partner in crime with me for most of the cases. Where I get stuck, I always give him a call, yeah, we have to do this. They are screaming rightly and not being heard. So please communicate their voice to the right concerned quarter so that they can be heard. So in my opinion, there should be forum. We are already doing, but sometimes in Gawada, sometimes in Faisalabad, sometimes other. These people will love to come to you. They will love to share their problems with you. Most of their problems are common and they are only 4 or 5 in number. So if you just summarize the list that how many, so 80% will be covered in 5 digits, and then there are 20% that even if you can ignore, no problem, because if the 80% is settled, they're good to go. So from our side, we are doing them CNY liquidity. So for what is CNY liquidity? We are opening their RMB accounts. We are letting them get CNY in Pakistan, letting them make their import payments in CNY or RMB, what you call, facilitating their Chinese employees to send their salaries back to China in CNY. So all these services are already being done so far, but the challenge is, I think I have stipulated enough. So thank you for the patience and the people who stayed back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zishan sir. Now for the closing keynote speech, I would like to invite Mr. Rama sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for sitting patiently through this very important forum. And I sat till the end also because everybody's speeches and the last speeches also that we heard were extremely important and gave some very good suggestions. Everybody has till now, of course, and the Chinese counterparts also have discussed not only the constraints, but also the opportunities that these constraints are giving us. And we've heard from all of you, from all the participants sitting here and online as well, that Pakistan is working and is going towards all the requirements that we've been talking about for many years. As CPEC, the first phase of CPEC ends and we've started towards CPEC 2.0, and from government to private sector and to B2B exchanges, we have, like Mr. Tufail was saying, we have worked upon, there's a framework already created on how to do ease of business for Chinese. This was a constraint that we've been hearing for many years. But we have already started working upon that, upon regulatory predictability, as you have said, So the POI, the planning division is doing well upon those things. Mr. Ali Tauqir gave some very good suggestions about especially the greening of economic zones. I think that is the need of the hour, and also clean energy, because seeing where the world is right now and the turmoil that everybody is facing, energy security has become of utmost importance, and that is something that Pakistan is working upon. Also, the green transition, whether it's climate or energy, both ministries are working on this together. Mr. Shah Jahan Mirza gave some very good suggestions, and Mr. Zishan Malik Saab, you also pointed out some very relevant and important points that need to be addressed and redressed immediately. So, where all these constraints we are facing, we've also achieved some things. We've also done some, as our Chinese, Mr. Wang was saying, that some models need to be brought to the fore, so that there are some success stories, and from those success stories, as we work, we learn. So some of those success stories are already in process. For example, we've got rupees 20 billion $20 million already in the for industries. We've already got. We are working on the vaccines for the foot and mouth disease with our Chinese counterparts, which are going to work upon billions of animals, and that is one constraint in our import-export that we're going to overcome. 5G has been launched across many cities of Pakistan by a Chinese company. So these are some of the success stories that are already in place, and we hope that more success stories are going to come across. We want to make sure that all provinces are included. They have their say, they have their viewpoint also. So I think Mr. Zishan's pointing out of that, and also one of the presenters also who talked about provinces. So of course, every province has a stake in this, and every province has a voice in this. So once again, I would like to thank all of you for coming here, for giving us invaluable input, and we hope to continue this conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. I would like to invite you all for the refreshments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.